Hey all, Scott here, and this is bad. Real bad.
Hey, what's the matter? Are you afraid you're gonna get murdered?
No, it can't be here. It's not safe.
Things are different now. You see, it's really hard to do the whole living in peace thing these days. That's why I formed a team of ragtag good doers in this world of anarchy. I even came up with the team name, too. We're f***ed. It all started on March 26, 2018, when the Wii Shop Channel disabled the addition of Wii points. The entire shop's about to close down, and recently, the public's went insane because of it. And being one of the few people with a Wii filled to the brim with WiiWare titles, I'm a bit of a hot ticket item these days, aka people want me dead. Things weren't like this a year ago. Man, it sure is great buying stuff on the Wii Shop Channel. Hopefully the closure of the service doesn't lead to a post-apocalyptic hellscape. Consumerism never sounded this good. The Wii Shop Channel was one of the greatest features of the Nintendo Wii in its prime. It was simultaneously behind and ahead of the competition. It didn't have an account system, meaning everything you bought was locked to your console. But the competition simply didn't have the quantity and quality when it came to retro titles. Plus, they didn't have this. No matter how many times I booted up this channel, its music abruptly starting as loud as it does was definitely petrify-inducing, but the tune was so slick, it automatically makes anybody want to spend. Speaking of currency, the Wii Shop Channel used Wii points, also known as Virgin doubloons. 100 Wii points equaled $1 US. For some reason, game consoles this generation really had a thing for real fake currency. At least Nintendo's conversion rate made sense. The Xbox 360 used to use Microsoft points, and 800 points equaled $10, and let me tell you, I'm still trying to figure that one out. Downloading something was always a hoot. Other systems just gave you a lame progress bar. The Wii says, who likes Mario or Luigi running across the screen? And hey, sometimes you can spit fireballs by pressing A. Such a Nintendo thing to do, to make a download screen fun. 3 categories of downloadables here. Virtual Console, the shop's pride and joy. One of the best collections of retro games out there. Not only did you get NES, SNES, and N64 games, but Sega Master System and Genesis, TurboGrafx-16, Neo Geo, Commodore 64 arcade games. If you wanted a crash course in gaming history, the Wii Virtual Console wasn't a bad place to start. Most of the games were in their original form, while some featured additions and tweaks. Pokemon Snap allowed you to save pictures to your system, Sonic and Knuckles allowed you to lock on to other Sonic games, and for some reason the Genesis version of Super Street Fighter 2 had online play added. No other version of Street Fighter 2 on the Wii Shop had this, and of all versions to add it to, well, this was a surprise to put it lightly. And doesn't work these days, night's ruined. Wii channels were also offered, being applications ranging from voting channels, Mii contests, Netflix, the works. But we'll be focusing on WiiWare, the term used to describe original downloadable titles made for the Wii. And let me tell you, some of these bad boys are definitely interesting. The beginning of the end of the Wii's online commenced on June 28, 2013 with the discontinuation of Wii Connect 24, the service enabling you to send messages to friends and whatnot. The Nintendo Wi-Fi connection for the Wii and DS ended on May 20th, 2014, meaning online multiplayer was shut down for games that used the service, but throughout it all, the Wii Shop Channel stayed afloat until March 26th, 2018, when you can no longer add Wii points to your account. You can still buy stuff until January 30th, 2019, as long as you still have points, and you can still re-download titles, but after that, the service will be donezo. With that, I think it's a good time to start a journey. I have dozens upon dozens of WiiWare games downloaded, ready to go, so let's take a look at a hodgepodge of WiiWare games, starting with Dr. Mario Online RX, the long-awaited return of the classic puzzle series. Dr. Mario is pretty simple. Line up similarly colored pills with the viruses on the board. Eliminating a virus can make stacked pills fall, and if you eliminate viruses with those pills, you can rack up the points. It's such a simple, fun puzzle game, definitely something to zone out to completely and play for either a few minutes or a few hours. It can get wackily addicting and wackily difficult as well, so this is what hell looks like. That's just the standard Dr. Mario gameplay. We also have another mode titled Virus Buster. It's a much slower paced version of Dr. Mario where you use your Wii remote pointer to drag the pills down. It's fine, but not as fun as pure Dr. Mario. The main selling point of this version at the time was the online play, which worked well back in the day. Now we have a few new versions of Dr. Mario like Dr. Luigi on Wii U and Dr. Mario Miracle Cure on the 3DS. These two are literally the same thing as Online RX and then some, so there's really no reason to go back to this one. Regardless, it's still Dr. Mario and still a solid time. Oh hell yeah! Apparently, WiiWare launched on March 25th, 2008, but that's just a misconception. Really, it launched with the release of Fireplacing. I always felt that the Wii was lacking burning logs, and Fireplacing did wonders to the burning logs market. Well, that's about it for what I have to say, so on to the next son of a bitch, I bought another one. Cozy Fire. The fireplace genre grows and grows. This one has a dollop of interactivity, like, wow. It's like I'm really regurgitating logs into a fireplace. We even have some extra places to watch a placed fire. This is getting too nuts for me, I better scram. Grill Off with Ultra Hand. It was only a matter of time until a game with this title came out. Grill Off was only available via Club Nintendo, Nintendo's old loyalty rewards program. It was one of the cheapest rewards you could get, so if you never picked it up, congratulations, you don't understand the concept of good deal for a subpar game. It's based around the Ultra Hand, an old toy Nintendo used to make that was basically just a grabber device for kids, invented by the late great Gunpei Yokoi. Grill Off with Ultra Hand is a high score based game where you grill off with Ultra Hand. Pulling the Wii remote and nunchuck towards you and back out extends Ultra Hand. You must grab meat when it's cooked to perfection and bring it back to a plate without dropping it or letting it burn. And that's it. It was a cute little reward for Club Nintendo members, but as a game on its own, the controls are kind of awkward and there's really not much there. While we're on the subject of Club Nintendo rewards, Doc Lewis's Punch-Out! Definitely one of the coolest exclusive games you could get through the rewards program. Again, there's not much to it, it's beatable in less than 20 minutes, but this was a free reward for Platinum members, those who bought enough Nintendo products in 2009. It's a prequel to Punch-Out! On Wii, where Little Mac trains with his coach Doc Lewis. Like I said, there's not a ton here. Basically, it's just fighting Doc, and it's not even that difficult. Doc tells you exactly what you need to do to beat him. As a game, it's nothing special. As a Punch-Out! Fan, it's a really awesome little time. I love Doc, so it's great to be able to fight him, and even when you knock him out, you can feel the connection he and Little Mac have. Also, nice. Yes, a WiiWare staple. Sexy poker is a competent replacement for any form of intercourse. A game for the rest of us. Checking out the gallery, we can see some slick pics of the girls we're about to play poker against. The game also lets out a hello. If you don't do anything for a certain amount of time, making sure you're not just staring at the screen absolutely dumbfounded that we are potentially going to see a sexy poker. Here we're introduced to Sakura, everybody's favorite nurse. I wonder why. If we impress her, she might give us her special treatment. Thank God, this scoliosis is a bitch. We can see here she's in prime poker playing position. I start pummeling through a poker game with her and bada bing bada boom, we get the goods.
Looks like I have to remove some clothes.
Oh. Yeah! If we win the whole game, a JIP is triggered. What is this? How is this M-rated? This is E10 plus at the worst. I'd say this is a great poker game. If you don't like the sexy, thankfully the girls are in the dead center of the screen. Easy blockage can ensue. 5 arcade gems, and my two favorite things, arcs and AIDS. There's only one true thing about that title, and it's 5. They called them arcade gems just to get away with the lame length, like there's nothing to these games. They're just high score based minigames. The only game that would even be close to being considered an arcade game would be the Shooter, but even then, this one is just boring and lame. We have some grade A voice work employed in these games though. My ears have been dying to hear that. Every minigame compilation needs to have a bit of lumberjack in there, and thankfully we have this gnome thing acting like he's talk of the town and telling everybody to throw axes in his direction. Pizza delivery squandered by natives, I've been there. Night shit. This RC car minigame froze after 1 round, that's all I can say about that one. This is gross, and you'd think it would only be about $5, which is still overpriced. No, it was 7. Huh. WarioWare D.I.Y Showcase. I love me some WarioWare, and D.I.Y Showcase, while it's more so a complimentary title, can still be fully enjoyed as a WarioWare game. WarioWare D.I.Y was released for the Nintendo DS, and its main hook was the fact that you can make your own microgames. If you don't know, WarioWare is a series based around 5-second microgames where you have to figure out how to succeed before the time runs out, and then you move on to the next game. It's fast-paced, crazy fun, and I adore it for that. So the idea of making your own microgame was awesome to me back in the day. I can't really play it now because honestly it takes a while to relearn the game creation tools. It's nowhere near as simple as Super Mario Maker, but was simple enough for a 12-year-old Scott to figure it out. You could also make your own music and comics, but I really only cared about the games. Showcase is a way for Wii owners to play their DIY creations on the big screen. Thankfully I transferred all my games from back in the day, and wow, what a resume builder. After connecting online, you could play microgames from people all over the land, but Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is dead. Yikes. Nintendo included some of their own microgame creations here, so you can still play this as a standard WarioWare game. These microgames are much simpler than other titles in the series, and rightfully so, since they were all made with D.I.Y's game creator. They were also made to be played with the DS touchscreen, so the only thing you're going to be doing here is pointing at the screen and clicking A. It's an incredibly simple, yet fun time, but it was much cooler back when it was relevant and when the Wi-Fi connection was alive and well. My Aquarium 2, a virtual aquarium in a single Nintendo Wii. 2010 was crazy. In terms of my own aquarium, I'm a single rock kind of guy personally. I do have to say, the default carnival music that plays here really makes me feel like I'm actually staring at a real life fish. It's insane. Shaking the Wii remote simulates tapping the glass, and rather than discouraging the player from doing that, the fish give a solid shake back. Thankfully, all is saved as we can share our aquarium to friends. Damn it! Excitebike World Rally, a triumphant revival of the Excitebike series developed by Monster Games, who made Excite Truck and Excitebots. This is the first entry in the Excite series they developed that went back to the roots of the franchise and proves that Excitebike can work really well in the modern era. If you played Excitebike on the NES, Road Rally is basically the same, but obviously with an upgrade to the graphics and sound department, more to do, and online play originally. You have to perform jumps, avoid other riders, make sure you don't overheat, and make it to the finish line, all while making great time. It's a fun game, and while the production values on the game are far from high, it's passable. This is Excitebike, and it's a WiiWare game. You can edit tracks just like the first game, and holy cannoli, you can actually save them! I quite enjoy World Rally, and wouldn't mind seeing another Excitebike game like this. The moment everybody's been waiting for, my coverage of Let's Create Pottery, the only pottery-based game with an email inbox and an auction mechanic and a heartfelt message from the developers. For what it is, a pottery creation simulator, it does the job. You have loads of options to unlock, and you can make a wide array of pottery. Here I made an ashtray, and here I made a Chinese finger trap. Enjoy your massage. Yep, you read that right. It's not a title, it's a command. As we can see here, I'm the protagonist, Nipple, and this game has already given me the heebs-jeebs. The selections won't stop growing, and Christ Jesus, the people won't stop growing either. As you could have easily predicted, Enjoy Your Massage is a hybrid between Simon and Tic-Tac-Toe. Repeat the beat on these markings, just begging for a WebMD search. Repeat it successfully enough times and bam, the client happily goes about their day via a static image that makes you triumphantly think, yup, I did that. Man, these clients. Nice back usage, guys. We have such a varied list of clients. For example, Ines has a backache and Alice's back hurts. After defeating any and all clients, you're tasked with the final boss, your boss, Gazelle. Your reward? You take over the business after only 45 minutes of playing. Well, that was a nice mishmash of WiiWare titles, but don't worry, we have loads more to cover soon, and doing so will allow the Wii Shop Channel to end gracefully, everybody will cherish their memories, and people will move on. Man, what I would give to be March 2018 Scott again. But hey, who knows, maybe things have cleared up in the past 12 minutes. Christ, I'm mental. Hey y'all, Scott here, and yes, it's been about a full day since I last reminisced about the Wii Shop Channel being open for business, back when WiiWare was WiiWare. But I can't think about that without remembering what it was like when they first disabled the addition of Wii points. Man, I haven't checked the Wii Shop Channel since I last went on a WiiWare binge. Apparently you can't add Wii points anymore. I'll be the judge of that. Well, that hurt a lot more than I expected it to. One sec. Yep, expected to hear that. Anyways, let's take a look at some more WiiWare games in remembrance of what once was. Fluidity was a really unique title published by Nintendo. You control water and tilt the Wii Remote to move around. You have to keep enough water together to traverse the environment and solve puzzles. Ladies and gentlemen, meet your next Smash Brothers character, but honestly, it's a really unique game that deserves more attention. It's pretty relaxing just controlling and listening to the flow of water. And to see your water make it to the end of a level to flood Buffalo, there's really no other feeling like it. I also hate to see any water get left behind. You really want to make sure any and all make it with you to the very end. I really hope this game makes a comeback in some form. There was a sequel in the 3DS eShop, so who knows? Muscle March. Oh man, why wasn't this cursor in Mario Galaxy? It was originally an arcade game that never released apparently, so Namco decided to barf it onto WiiWare. We get to pick our character, and this is just physically improbable. Talk about unrealistic expectations. I'm part of a band of greased up muscle freaks trying to regain their protein powder, and that's only the third time I've said that today. You have to pose with the Wii Remote and nunchuck to make your way through obstacles. If the person you're chasing puts both their hands up and goes through a wall, well, you better put your hands up to ensure you will fit through that wall. And surprisingly, the controls work alright. But after a solid 10 minutes of playing this, I think I've gotten my Muscle March fill. After loads of peer pressure, I finally played it, and I'm content leaving it at that. Pong Toss, the only game to feature the copyright year as an integral part of the logo. It's a frat party game and has 2 modes to play, and they got Vince Valenti to program this? It's a Wii version of beer pong. Now, I'm definitely going to be critiquing this one hard. It better live up to beer pong's legacy. I know everything about the sport.
Blue 42, hike.
You just throw balls in the cups, but God, I am no good at this version, and I'll just blame it on the controls. I mean, it's Pong Toss on WiiWare. I don't think the Pong Toss community is going to crucify me. Hopefully. I either overshoot it or don't shoot enough. I'm not a fan of the controls here. I can't get a good grip on how hard to throw. We also have Speed Pong, which is beer pong with Mario Kart items. Woo. Retro reboots became a thing back in the WiiWare era, bringing back an old-school franchise while purposely retaining old-school elements. Headlining this trend was Mega Man 9. The Mega Man series was in a weird space. The classic series, as it's referred to now, was a bit dormant. The last release was Mega Man in Bass on the Game Boy Advance, which was a port of a Japan-only Super Famicom game from 1998. Mega Man was far from dead. The series was staying alive with sub-series like Mega Man X, Battle Network, Zero, all that jazz, but regular vanilla everyday Mega Man games weren't too awful frequent. To see Capcom not only revive the main series with 9, but also use 8-bit graphics akin to Mega Man 1 through 6 was pretty crazy. It made sense though, I mean that's how most people remember Mega Man. But they didn't just go retro with simply the presentation. Mega Man 9 is basically Mega Man 2, 2. Games after 2 started introducing things like Rush, the Slide, the Charge Shot, all that. 9 throws all these out the window and stays true to Mega Man 2. Even the menu themes are ripped right from the game over screen from that game. All you can do is hop and shoot in terms of your bare moveset, which some people really didn't like about 9. It felt like a regression rather than moving the series forward. But to that I say, oh me, oh my, this game is great. If you can look past the simple moveset, Mega Man 9 has absolutely superb level design and music. 8 new Robot Masters to take on and powers to cop, with one being the first female Robot Master in the series. Ooh, la, la. It was primarily developed by Inti Crates, and these guys know how to make retro-style games. Like, look at this looks like it came straight out of an NES. They even included an option for sprite flickering, purposely throwing in imperfections into the game to keep it feeling old school. I don't know why, but I love that. There's tiny little things they did here and there that couldn't have been done back on 8-bit hardware, but it doesn't feel out of place at all in the game. Capcom released a sequel, Mega Man 10, which is again another retro-style Mega Man game. It was a really nice little throwback, but I'm happy to see Capcom pushing the series forward with a new direction and style in Mega Man 11. My Little Baby, finally, a game with a fetus opener. The game shows off the stunning timeline of fetus to game in a matter of 4 photos. We get to pick everything about the dad and the mom with this baby. We're keeping things strictly European. Our nanny Pummel's in here to tell us to do things. Seriously, we hire the nanny, she's telling us how to take care of our baby. What a jip. In terms of the name, I decided to go with Vinegar. And here we are. Was that pregnancy really worth it? I mean, sure, I think we had a Vegas-style birth. This thing took the length of 2 pictures to bake, but still. We can take pictures of Vinegar. I'm labeling this one Summer Fun. Now we have to clean up the room our baby's in, and this baby is an absolute animal. I clean up his mess of dirt and grime, leave the room, come back, dirt and grime make a huge comeback. I decided it's time for everybody's favorite baby to take a nap, but no matter how fast I rock the cradle, he won't go to sleep, so we're gonna feed him instead. It's a good thing they included this feature. Without it, I would hate to see the review scores. After a solid feed sesh, it's time to change the baby's diaper, and don't you just love it when your shit can double as a sensor bar? I ran to the store to buy things for Vine, and I gotta dock points for the lack of realism. You can only buy 5 bibs of each color. And that's my little baby, just a relaxing game. This surely is the life. Ah, my baby's dirty. Next game. Star Soldier R, a triumphant return of the Star Soldier series. What? Yeah, I've never played a Star Soldier game before, and to be honest, I didn't even know this was a series. I thought this was just a retro-style WiiWare shooter. They were primarily on the TurboGrafx 16, so can you really blame me? Star Soldier R is an arcade shoot-'em-up with 3 modes to dig right into: 2-minute, 5-minute, and quick shot. Each is all about just getting the highest possible score that you can, and each go through the exact same song and dance. Obviously, if you want to see everything the game has to offer, 5-minute is your go-to mode here. If you want to just jump in and blast through the main game to try and have a high score, 2-minute mode is for you. And if you only have 10 seconds to spare and have an attention span that stopped paying attention when I started talking about Fluidity, then quick shot. You can hold down the button to shoot repeatedly, or you can turn on the manual option, or as I like to call it, welcome to the hernia zone. I thought Star Soldier R was fun, but I'm basically done with it forever. I just don't really have a reason to go back to it, sadly. It just doesn't have enough meat on its bones. There's only so many times I can play through, say, 5-minute mode over and over again. Still a decent game. I'd like to see this one come back on modern platforms one day. I couldn't afford Grand Theft Auto 5, so I bought Copter Crisis on WiiWare instead. I mean, you can pilot a helicopter in both. It's like substituting Coke and Mentos with Faygo and Altoids. You hold the Wii Remote like a flight stick to pilot the helicopter, and the controls work pretty well, to be honest. The problem is, the rest of the game is just tart. It's just boring. You have to pick up or drop off things, that's it. It's the same environment over and over again. Where even am I? The game had some potential to be fun if the environment you were flying around in was interesting, but we're just flying in Rocktown. At the end of the mission, I always go straight for the wall, but it never lets me crash. Lame. Aha! I got it! A game called Aha! I got it! The perfect name for a game. Your dad starts chatting up a storm with you and says you're growing up. I'm so proud. Proud of what? Mortality coming sooner? For your birthday, your dad locks you in a room and you have to find your way out, aka your dad is shit.
Wait, why is the kid wishing himself good luck?
It's a point-and-click game. Find clues to help you escape. That's literally it, but at least they made it interesting by focusing on child abuse. Max and the Magic Marker. Now this is the free demo version, as it was the only way I played this game back in the day. I played this demo quite a few times, but never bought the full game, unfortunately. The game focuses on Max, who draws this eggplant monster and you have to try and stop it. It's a pretty basic platformer where you can draw things to interact with the environment, whether that be creating platforms, steps, shields, weights, the works. If it weren't for the Magic Marker, this game wouldn't be anything to shake a stick at, but because of it, I've always had a soft spot for this game. The demo, that is. Like I've said, I never fully bought it. The main problem I do have with it though is that drawing with the Wii pointer has always been really awkward for me. Thankfully the game is available on PC and DS, which makes the drawing mechanic much more natural. The game received a sequel recently, Max and the Curse of the Brotherhood. Jesus, this is the same series? Holy sh**. We're in for something alright. Hockey All-Star Shootout. And this, my friends, is what we call intuitive controls. Move the cursor with the stick, shoot with the Wii Remote. Seems easy enough, damn it. This is the game, just trying to shoot the hockey puck into the goal. Yeah, I've already noticed quite a trend with WiiWare games being cheap cash grabs with little to no substance. Many of these things are literally just high score games, and there's nothing wrong with high score based games, but you gotta have substance. There's a secondary mode where we have to knock over this ice, and few things look more depressing than this. I mean, were you really expecting a downloadable Wii game service without Tetris? Tetris Party is a really decent version of the classic game. You have standard Tetris, kinda hard to mess that up, but we have this added benefit of our Mii cheering us on. Here I just have a default one in the background, but man, look at him go. We also have a ton of really cool modes which offer unique takes on the Tetris formula. Shadow has us filling in pictures with Tetris pieces, Field Climber has us building steps for a little guy to climb up to the very top, Stage Racer challenges you to fit your Tetris piece through a maze in the quickest amount of time possible, and the Wii Balance Board mode challenges us to maintain sanity. Overall, Tetris Party is a great version of the classic puzzle game. Sure, the presentation is a bit bland, but it's still quite a lot of fun. There was an expanded retail version released as well, entitled Tetris Party Deluxe. Back when you had the choice between the two versions, Deluxe was 2 times the price at $30. The standard Tetris Party offered more than enough to satiate that Tetris craving we all have from time to time. It was definitely a must-have on WiiWare. Fast Draw Showdown. Somebody in the world's childhood is right in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know this before downloading, but this was an old arcade game in the same vein as Mad Dog McCree. Live action footage that you shoot total guns at. The future is here and it is incredibly underwhelming. The game's displayed in iPhone portrait mode and we're greeted to Wes Flowers.
My name's Wes Flowers. I'm one of the world's fastest quick draws.
Damn! Since we're dealing with flicking the Wii remote up quickly to shoot, better put on the protective jacket.
Yeah, I'm a bitch.
We meet a lot of colorful characters we have to slaughter, like Crazy Curly.
Put it back in the holster.
God, who knew Wes Flowers was such a square? Alright, and we've seen the entirety of the game. It's just Quick Draw with Wes Flowers. It sells itself. Alright, and that should hold me over for a while, but we still have loads more WiiWare games to look at. Definitely a solid way to pass the time before the shop channel gracefully and peacefully comes to an end. Was I f***ing mad? Well, at least we're in the post-apocalypse now, and it can't get any worse than post-apocalyptic. Hey y'all, Scott here, and I'd love to putz around and talk some Yoshi Touch and Go, but I have places to do and things to be, and I have to loaf around in the cellar for a while. You see, I thought we were in the post-apocalyptic phase of the Wii Shop Channel closure, but nope! It turns out we were only in the pre-apocalyptic phase. We're currently in the apocalypse phase since people can't basically buy WiiWare games anymore. And since I'm one of the few people with a Wii system filled to the brim with WiiWare games, I'm a wanted man. Just look at this. That's me! I don't know who else it could be! If only past me would have done something about the Wii Shop Channel closure and not just exploit and show off old WiiWare games. Let's take a look at some more WiiWare games. Castlevania The Adventure. Yeah, it reeks. So why not play the vastly superior recreation, The Adventure ReBirth? This was in the lineup of ReBirth games Konami put out on WiiWare, the others being Contra ReBirth and Gradius ReBirth. These 3 games were treated as throwbacks to yesteryear, harkening back to the earlier titles in the franchises. Adventure ReBirth was the only one of the 3 that was fully based off of a past game and improved on everything from the original. It controls better, sounds better, looks better, it's just an overall better experience. It really makes me go, oh, why aren't more bad games remade like this? It replaces a bad game with a better one. And then I realize, oh, well, nobody likes bad games, so it's safer to remake a game people actually like to begin with to ensure the most sales. Oh well, Adventure ReBirth was also noteworthy for being one of the first Castlevania titles in forever that followed the pre-Symphony of the Night gameplay formula for the series. It's just pure simple Castlevania, and while it's not mind-blowing or anything, it's definitely a highlight on the WiiWare service. So this is why Konami stopped making games. Ant Nation is for the ant lover in all of us. The title is jam-packed with 100 ant-filled missions to complete, ranging from touching your ant to using a magnifying glass. I love ants, so this game just speaks to me. Whenever anybody asks, hey, what do you use your Wii for these days? I always tell them Netflix and ants. Well, that's Ant Nation for you. It's an ant simulator. I got as much out of it as I could, and unfortunately stopped playing before we got to the ant breeding portion of the gameplay loop. However, there is this bonus game we still have to check out. And this was the moment I discovered some guy at Konami really f***ing hates ants. Jesus! This entire mode is dedicated to torturing and killing ants with an assortment of tools ranging from rockets, fire, a foot. I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't enjoy this compared to the main game, but holy shit, guys. I guess Konami didn't want to corner themselves in the ant lovers only market and truly made this game for everybody. TV Show King. I actually played this back in the day. It was published by Discount Ubisoft. Gameloft. They've made some of the highest quality shovelware out there. Nothing that's utter trash, but nothing too awful great either. With a name like TV Show King, I assumed this was gonna be a trivia game about TV shows. Well, I'm not a fucking genius, it's just a trivia game show, but I am a fucking genius, so we're gonna be limping along on genius difficulty. We're graded to our host Jerry. They really pulled out all the stops on this one. Think of TV Show King as Wheel of Fortune meets Who Wants to Be a Millionaire meets a 65 on Metacritic. Also, this game really has a thing against commas. What's a two-handed hand plan in snowboarding? Well, I already answer handy to most questions, so why not? As the rounds progress, TV Show King likes to make sure you're still paying attention by upping the ante, like making you remove the crust on the choices before selecting and illuminating them with your remote. I lost. Flight Control was a mobile game from 7 years ago. Like, this sat there alongside the titans of the industry. Cut the Rope, Angry Birds, Coin Flip. This was a game that was consistently at the top of the App Store charts. You just had to guide airplanes and helicopters to safely land without crashing into one another. And if you said, man, but I want to play this with that Ant Nation controller, you're in luck because they released a WiiWare version. It's basically the same game, but you play with the Wii remote pointer. It works well enough and is pretty decent by early iPhone game standards. But a Wii game though? I don't know, it's just not the most well-suited title for home consoles. You're only gonna play for 5 minutes at the most. Decent mobile game that works well on the Wii, but doesn't feel quite at home. Space Invaders, damn it. WiiWare was truly the second coming of arcade titles. So many made a return on the service, so it was inevitable a reboot of Space Invaders would appear at some point. They're trying to add some plot to this, that's adorable. Alright, let's get this over with. This is nothing like what I was expecting. I just assumed this was gonna be an upgraded version of Space Invaders but on WiiWare, but the title doesn't lie. This is what happens when Space Invaders get even. You control the invaders and destroy a city. The concept is interesting, I'll give them that. It's kinda like Pac-Man Versus, where that was an old school arcade game letting you experience it from the enemy's perspective. But this is where my interest starts to wane. It's mildly entertaining for a bit, but it's pathetic in terms of content. You only get 3 levels for 500 Wii points and have to buy the rest of the game through more content packs. The overall price ends up being around 20 bones, and I'll definitely say I got my fill with just playing the first stage. I think it would have been best for this game to come with all the content for 10 bucks total, no extra level packs or nothing. Because as it stands, for 5 bucks, I feel like I wasted my money, and the idea of spending $15 more on this game made it difficult for me to fall asleep the past few nights. Bit Trip was a series of rhythm games released via WiiWare, all using Atari-style graphics with some modern-looking effects. I gotta say, with video games, especially indie ones, being obsessed with 8-bit graphics, seeing this style with such pizzazz is really something. I wish a few more games looked like this. There were tons of Bit Trip games released on WiiWare, the most popular which being Runner. You have to avoid obstacles and nab collectibles to the beat while running automatically. This is only the demo version though. I never played the Bit Trip games when they initially came out, but this is a pretty fun time. Thankfully, there exist multiple ways to play the Bit Trip series outside of WiiWare, including various physical releases, so definitely try this out if you get the chance. Runner also received some sequels, Runner 2 and Runner 3, and again, I haven't played these games. Man, the original Runner just looks so much better visually in my opinion. It just feels so much more unique. Soccer Up. The title alone got me excited. It's a soccer game based on my favorite direction. How could this go wrong? We have to pick a team. Well, North Korea sounds fun. And we're off, and Soccer Up is much more generic soccer game than I initially thought it would be. Remember Hockey All-Star Shootout from last time? I was expecting Soccer Up to be a garbage game like that, a mini game where you're shooting soccer balls into a goal or something. Nope, it's a completely different garbage game. It's just generic soccer. And pardon me, I don't play a lot of soccer games. No. But I can easily say that it is crazy difficult to keep track of who's on my team and who's not. Sure, the different teams have different colored jerseys, but the fact that all the models are the same with either dark or blonde hair makes it confusing. Other than that, this is basically like NES Soccer, but with 3D graphics. Like everybody else with an opinion, I'm not a fan of NES Soccer, but it was fine for the time. Soccer Up really has no excuse.
Mr. Driller!
Mr. Driller W. Out of 26 letters, they chose that one. The series is a spin-off / spiritual successor to Dig Dug and is more so puzzle-oriented. You have to drill through all these blocks while avoiding getting squished or running out of air. It's a fun time and can get wildly difficult. You have all these different characters to choose from, all with unique attributes, including the original star of Dig Dug himself. While it's a good version of the game, Mr. Driller W has very little differentiating itself from the various other titles in the series. That was a problem with a lot of WiiWare titles at the time. Many of them are simple high-score based games with better versions available elsewhere. Speaking of which, Frogger is an absolute classic. Its gameplay still holds up to this very day. Konami really tried to make Frogger a bigger name in gaming as the years went on, but he's more or less faded into obscurity. But this is what happens when Frogger returns. Oh god, it's like he never left. Frogger Returns makes me wheeze. This is just Frogger again, but it looks like trash, the music is disgusting, and the camera angle makes it difficult to judge where you are in comparison to other things in the world. Look at these dogs. Stop. Rabbids Lab is why many people don't like the Rabbids. It's a simple idea. A rabbit is inside your Wii remote. You can hit buttons and shake the thing to cause mayhem. You can then paint, customize, and perform a hate crime on them. That'll be 500 Wii points, please. This should just be a mode in a game. In fact, from what I've read, it is a mode in Rabbids Go Home. I've actually heard this is a pretty good game. I personally haven't played it, but I personally have played Rabbids Lab. This is somewhat amusing for 2 minutes, but within that time you've seen everything the game has to offer. Next. Happy Holidays Halloween. Before you say thank you, let me talk about this game. This is a Halloween e-card creator on your Wii. You can pop a very select amount of art on a card, maybe some text, a sound or two, blam, send it to your Wii friends. Hallmark must have pissed themselves when this thing was announced. ThruSpace is a Nintendo-published game all about cramming Tetris wannabes into holes in the wall. Now I know what everybody is probably thinking. This is just a ripoff of Muscle March. Well, ThruSpace is really its own thing. It doesn't have whatever the hell this is, but it makes up for it by just being a simple, addictive puzzle game. Personality-wise, it's got nothing, but it's fun enough, I guess. Now, of course, it had that classic Nintendo tax and cost $8. I don't know if it's worth that. Just for comparison, that's how much most Super Nintendo and Genesis games cost on the Wii Shop. It's a solid little puzzle game, but nothing more than that, really. Every downloadable game service needs a game based on Robin Hood, so it was a shame that WiiWare got stuck with this thing. I'd call it an on-rail shooter, but it's literally just a static image where you shoot people running around. Apparently Robin Hood is all about killing the rich and helping the poor, so it makes sense that your points get docked if you shoot an innocent person, but why do you get crazy high points for killing a bird? The game is just monotonous. Reloading your arrows takes no time at all, so there's really no challenge here. It's almost impossible to die. It's just a game of endurance. We also have this guy making an appearance every now and then. That's all I have to say on the topic of him. This is the story of a lonely boy who was given a dolphin by King Triton and then vowed to give all the sad children in the world Wii remotes and dolphins. This is the worst Christmas ever. And that's the story of My Dolphin, a game about petting your dolphin and having it do tricks for an audience. I guess you have to buy the extra dolphins in the game to find out whatever the hell happened to King Triton. I named him Puddles and he can do this. I think I finally found my dolphin game, everybody. We've really looked at a lot of WiiWare games, but the only thing that matters is that we finally looked at one that allowed us to make a card. I'm gonna send this to future Scott, maybe around January of 2019 or so. He'll really get a kick out of this. This does nothing for me. Well, with the Wii Shop Channel closing on January 30th, I should really take time to appreciate what I have. A Wii filled with WiiWare games, and an open cellar door. Huh. Really makes it easy for anybody to come in and steal my net worth! Hey all, Scott here. I originally abandoned this place back when the whole Wii Shop Channel closure pre-apocalypse thing started because I had a Wii full of WiiWare games and everybody wanted to kill me. But now since my Wii has gone missing, I can finally relax again, considering the fact that I was taken off of the FBI's most wanted and I'm now on the FBI's least wanted. That makes me feel like a fucking loser. I mean, it's whatever. I have nothing to worry about now. Plus, I still have the memories of playing all those WiiWare games. Like that one time I played a bunch of them like a month before this whole thing happened. Oh god, that was when I played Family Go-Kart Racing. Oh, well this looks playable. No? Family Go-Kart Racing is the family-friendly alternative to Mario Kart. You ever play Mario Kart Wii and say, man, these characters are cool and all, but where's Dad? Yep, the whole family's here and they're ready to star in Family Go-Kart Racing is garbage. Yeah, I said it. Steering in this game is a nightmare. The motion controls don't work. Either you don't turn hard enough or you turn harder than hard, and no matter what, you end up mourning the loss of a family member. Technically, there's 12 tracks in the game, but really there's 4 track themes with 3 variants separated by difficulty. Doesn't matter in the end because each track is damn impossible. Jesus! If only this game was good and sold more, maybe then my dad would make it into Smash Brothers. Outside of Pokemon Fruit Snacks, I haven't really delved into the Pokemon franchise all too much, so why not make my second experience in the series be Pokemon Rumble? The demo version, that is. This, alongside My Pokemon Ranch, were the only two Pokemon titles released on WiiWare. My Pokemon Ranch was the leading cause of disgusting logo syndrome, and one of those simulation titles that WiiWare was flooded with. You know, you sit there, can slightly interact with the animals, maybe move around, that's about it. Pokemon Rumble is a different story though, it's all about mashing that 2 button and not much else. You control toy versions of Pokemon, which really means here's a canonical reason as to why these models look so bad. You just keep moving forward, pummel other Pokemon, face a boss, pummel them, move on to the next area, and then duke it out in the Battle Royale. I mean, this is just a demo, but from what I've played, Pokemon Rumble is just too simplistic and repetitive for my liking. They made 4 of them. I never downloaded this initially, mainly because do I look like a Pokemon Rumble downloader to you? I also never downloaded My Pokemon Ranch. I mean, I already had enough WiiWare simulation games. Speaking of which... yeah, I'm a zoo guy now. My zoo is all about complete freedom. It's your zoo, do whatever you want, including having only 3 exhibits with 3 of one animal type in each. We have it all. We're really hitting it out of the park with all the bear fans out there. We got this elephant frying in the kids' room, and of course you can't forget the zebras. You can name your animals. That's my zoo for you. A big part of the game is breeding your animals, but all that gets you is another animal. I can add 3 bears to the bear exhibit right off the bat. Why would I want to worry about child bears? My zoo is a little too just watching 3D models of animals walk around-y for me to really get into it. But hey, if you want to name a zebra Fallout 76, my zoo fully supports that feature. Bobble is an undisputed classic from the arcades, NES, Game Boy, Master System, Commodore 64. Shove your hand between the couch cushions, you'll find a different version of Bobble. Why not add to the list with a remake of the original on WiiWare, Bobble Plus, now with brand new visuals, oh god. Bobble Plus is an enhanced remake in the sense that it's fundamentally Bobble Plus. It has everything the original had, plus more content, 4-player multiplayer, even 2 level packs you could buy. Sure, the graphics are kinda fucking disgusting. It just looks so cheap. I'd really prefer if they just went with sprite art or a 2D hand-drawn look. Disregarding that, this is just straight up Bobble. The NES version was on the Wii Shop Channel for 500 Wii points, with Plus going for only 600. That's only $1 extra for quite a bit more content added. It's nothing groundbreaking, but Bobble Plus is just more Bobble, and that's alright in my book. Xmas Puzzle shows me what Christmas is really all about. Oh yeah, that happened. I find it cheap how they show you a blurry version of the full image behind everything. That just makes things too easy. In the end though, Xmas Puzzle delivers the religion puzzle-based goods and then some. Not only do you get Xmas Puzzle, but more Xmas Puzzle. Somebody grab a plural form. And Yet It Moves was one of the most unique releases on WiiWare. It started life out on PC and eventually made its way onto the platform and oh, it's so good. A simple platformer where you have to rotate the world around you to progress, and it really makes you rethink everything about the world you're in. What can be a viable platform to use, how to use the terrain to your advantage, everything. You gotta be careful though, because you do die if you fall from a great enough height. Now this is just the demo, I missed out on the game initially, but I always heard great things about it. The thing that mega blows though is that the WiiWare version was the only console port of the game ever released. It's only available on computers, and it made its way to iOS under the name Yet It Moves, but I believe it's no longer available. Come on guys, get this baby on modern platforms. Snowpack Park, made by the fine people at Skip, who made this, which led to this. This is oh Jesus, again? This is another simulation game for WiiWare, just like My Pokemon Ranch, and My Zoo, and My Aquarium, and My Little Baby, and Ant Nation, and My Dolphin. Only now I truly realized how many of these games flooded WiiWare, and they all share a common problem. There's nothing to them. Most of these games are basically just watching an animal do something and you can interact with it in like 2 ways that don't matter at all. Like, oh, you can pet the animal and you can clean up after them and that's it. Now to be fair here, Snowpack Park is much more gamey than a lot of the other simulation games. But it isn't all too remarkable. You raise penguins, you fish for food, you find more penguins, you raise penguins, you fish for food. Now the bulk of the entertainment value you can derive from these games really depends on how much you're willing to let your imagination go wild with these things and make up a lot of the fun yourself. It should also be noted that I can tell these games are supposed to be bite-sized experiences, played for like 5 minutes a day. You download them so they're always on your system, so after you're finished playing another game, hey, why not check in on the penguins? The problem to me is that all these sim games I've looked at just don't have enough to them. They give you like 2 things to truly mess around with, and that's it. I need more customization, I need more things to do to get me involved, and these games just don't do that. There you go, let that be a lesson to all you WiiWare developers out there. Paint splash for everybody who wants to draw but doesn't have paper. Nothing makes me feel like I'm dying more than trying to draw perfectly with a Wii remote. We have all these Alright, either somebody's smoking gasoline cigarettes or people are retaliating, and for good reason. In a few short weeks, you aren't going to be able to download Paint Splash anymore. F*** saying that hurt! Time to get diagnosed with dart rage. Shit, they got Vince Valenti to program this? From the minds behind Pong Toss Pro comes dart rage. It's like beer pong minus beer pong, now with darts. Now this is more like it. This must have been the Pong Toss Pro developers' true passion project. That doesn't mean it's absolutely fantastic. It's not bad, but it's not great either. It's just right. Art of Balance was always one of WiiWare's heavy hitters. I didn't personally play it when it was relevant, but it was always a title brought up when talking about WiiWare. In short, it's a physics puzzler all about stacking shapes so they don't topple over after a short period of time. It's simple, it's easy to understand, and it's really quite a blast. Art of Balance was developed by Shinen Multimedia, an indie team from Germany responsible for the fast racing games. So the same people who made this. That fucking terrifies me. Remember TV show King? Were you dying to see how the story concluded? TV show King 2 is basically the developers of TV show King saying, wait a sec, we can do better. It's fundamentally an expanded version of the first game, with even more options like having a cactus for a podium and being able to create your own questions and submit them online for Gameloft to review and possibly give to other players. I wish you could just make your own questions and use them in local play though, I would love that. Online has been added, but the tried and true TV show King formula is still here. If there's anybody who screams the author of Marley me, it's Walter Cronkite. War. It's cool, right? Well, Water Warfare gives us all the joy of war, plus aquatics as well. So this is cute. It's a first-person shooter for the rest of us. And by God, it's hard to land a hit on opponents. However, it does function well and stands out from the rest of the crowd on WiiWare. We really never saw a lot of full-on first-person shooters there. So hey, if you don't want your kids to play Doom, hand them Water Warfare. They'll fucking hate you, but you'll actually be parenting. And the WiiWare service has been validated. Lead the Meerkats is a son of a bitch! Yes, the return of the WiiWare sim game with like 3 options to mess with and nothing more. What color do I like? Oh, fuck. You know all those times you've gone to the zoo, looked at the meerkats and went, if only. Lead the Meerkats proves we all weren't missing out on much. The meerkat simulation genre needs a killer app, and this isn't it. After the family go-kart racing scandal, I really didn't want to stir up even more controversy, but I have to say this. Too Fast 4 Gnomes fucking reeks. It's in the auto-running gnome genre, and it's definitely one of the best auto-running gnome games I've played in recent memory, but it's completely ruined by this. How are you supposed to differentiate what's part of the background and what's an obstacle? I'm just a gnome. You expect me to understand the difference between background art and obstacles when there's next to nothing that tells you which is one and which is the other? Well, that was a solid slate of WiiWare games. Let's see how many I didn't care about. Damn it. That's not a great sign because we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel of WiiWare games to look at. But it's fine, because I forgot what I was gonna say there. It was stupid. Nothing is fine. The world is going to end. Wii Shop Channel's demise is inevitable. But at least I don't have to worry about getting brutally killed since I don't have my Wii anymore. I can't live without Lead the Meerkats, I gotta get it back! Hey all, Scott here. I have a Wii loaded with WiiWare games! I have a Wii loaded with WiiWare games! I have a Wii loaded with WiiWare games!
You have osteoporosis.
I have a Wii loaded with WiiWare games. 4 out of 5 ain't bad. But I have a Wii loaded with WiiWare games! The Wii Shop Channel is gonna close for good on January 30th, 2019, and I think it's safe to say I'm set for life here. Considering people don't go ballistic and come after me because I have a Wii loaded with WiiWare games.
Hey all, Scott here, and this is bad. Real bad.
Huh. Really makes it easy for anybody to come in and steal my net worth! But at least I don't have to worry about getting brutally killed since I don't have my Wii anymore. I can't live without Lead the Meerkats, I gotta get it back! Yeah, this is officially overstayed its welcome. I've been looking for my Wii for the past day, but it must be like way deep and 500 miles away from here county. Oh shit, it's a Wii. This is mine! It must have been passed around the entire city. Everybody must have been fiercely playing some WiiWare games before the shop channel closed. Oh my god, what have they done to you? I'm no expert on all things abused Wiis, but it looks like this thing's been played to near death. I'd say it looks like you can play about 20 more games before it bites the dust. Let's finish what we started. Now, I've talked about 101 in 1 Megamix more so than anybody else. I've talked about it once, so why not desperately hold on to my record by talking about it again? 101 in 1 Megamix blows. This was one of the games I talked about when rifling through the worst games of all time according to our friendly neighborhood Metacritic, and yes, you've heard it here twice folks, this game is dreadful. This is a port of a DS game and you use the pointer of the Wii remote to do your average everyday Nintendo DS stylus things. Yeah, that doesn't work well with an IR pointer. What's easy with a stylus pen does not equal easy with a Wii remote. On top of that, the minigames themselves, it could be better. It all culminates into this heaping pile of megabytes that is by far the lowest rated WiiWare game of all time. This is something I'll be telling my grandchildren about. Frobot was a key example of an Afro-robot-based puzzle game. You control Frobot walking from room to room and effectively solving puzzles only a Frobot could solve. For some reason, this reminds me of late 90s budget puzzle games for the PC. Oh, it's on the PC. And don't worry, Europe. It's coming. The moment I saw this thing, I knew what was bound to come. Major League Eating the game is everything the Wii bargain bin at Walmart was, but this time in downloadable form. First things first, this game has controls. We use them to play this game and playing results in a win or a loss. Using the controller is the real deal with this game, and the graphics are really something on the screen. Ears? This game uses them by emitting sound, and don't get me started on having a title. This game does that and it does it well. It's Major League Eating the game. Those 5 words do it more justice than I ever could. It's your average horror puzzle game, like Catherine or Wario's Woods. It was developed by Way Forward, and these guys can truly make everything, from platformers to puzzle games to Smurfs too. Lit is one of the most interesting WiiWare releases out there. There's really not much else like it. You can only walk across lit areas of the room, and due to that you have to find ways to use objects and the environment around you to light a way from point A to B. It's truly unique, especially considering it's a good old-fashioned everyone 10 and up horror game. Truly something WiiWare needed more of. Video games allow you to escape from normal life, to be something you always wanted to be. With that, let's play Rock and Roll Climber. Finally. This is the last Nintendo published WiiWare game I have, and what a way to stumble out. I can't do this. Rock and Roll Climber proved to me that rock and roll climbing is an acquired taste. So you're climbing this rock wall and you have to select rocks to plop your feet and hands on, and I just can't wrap my brain around these controls. This trailer makes it look easy, but for some reason I can't do this. I could have gotten any other Nintendo published WiiWare game. I could have picked up Bonsai Barber. Watching this trailer is like being stuck inside with Rock and Roll Climber while everybody else is having the time of their lives cutting tree hair. Instead, I'm completely stranded with this. One day into staying inside a cave and only playing WiiWare games, and I'm feeling great. I packed some milk to help sustain myself so I can really take on anything. F this sentence. Now this is every retro enthusiast's worst nightmare. Oh yeah, pixels! Oh f 3D racing! 3D pixel racing is fucking terrifying. Why do I have to change gears? Why is MPH and RPM on the screen? It's 3D pixel racing. Why is this a driving simulator? Also, I had no fucking clue what this game's name was for the first 10 seconds of the title screen. Oh. Now this was what you called a WiiWare game. I remember seeing World of Goo take so many Best of 2008 awards, including Best Wii Game in general some places. Keep in mind, this was the year Mario Kart Wii and Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, so to see a WiiWare game by an indie developer be so revered was pretty wacky. World of Goo was all about making structurally sound goo bridges from one point to the next, just another Tuesday. One thing I like to see with WiiWare games is a concept that works best on the Wii console, and World of Goo is perfect with pointer functionality. At least in terms of on-home consoles. It is available on PC and mobile devices with mouse and touchscreen controls. 2D Boy and the Tomorrow Corporation are best known for World of Goo, but their other titles maintain the same cutesy but dark, morbid art style. While I played their game Little Inferno more, I still can't deny the great game World of Goo really is. When I dog on a WiiWare game, it's because games like World of Goo really show just how quality a WiiWare game could be. Fast Racing League, Shinin Multimedia spanking Nintendo for the lack of F-Zero. This was the first in the Fast series. I'm sure most people know of it for Fast Racing Neo on the Wii U and Fast RMX on the Switch. Fast Racing League is fundamentally these games with WiiWare diagnosed presentation. Of course, graphically it isn't as nice as Neo and RMX, and definitely not as fast. However, this is still a prime example of a WiiWare game done right. I'm not a fan of motion controls for such fast-paced games like this, but everything still works well enough. If you liked Fast Racing Neo and Fast RMX, this is basically the same game, but older. So you should still definitely pick it up to see where it all started. Holy shit, how did I forget this is happening? Some Japanese Word was a 2D shooter where the developers asked, what if Ikaruga? If you've never played Ikaruga, it's a 2D shoot 'em up where your ship can swap between two colors, with the color of your ship making it so you can absorb bullets of the same color, but take damage from the opposing color. Some Japanese Word does that. Yeah, this is basically a poor man's Ikaruga, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Like, it doesn't do anything that bad, it's just... Ikaruga's better? Like, look at these guys. Tell me this is better than Ikaruga. Tell me. Alongside being the name of my journal, My Life as a Dark Lord was a side game in the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles series, and is in the tower defense genre. It's actually a fairly interesting concept. You have to manage and beef up your base as more and more heroes come in and raid it. They'll get held up by enemies you place in each story of the tower, but you have to act quickly if they defeat all the enemies on the floor by placing more enemies or more floors, while ensuring you can afford them. It's actually pretty interesting, and while it gets fairly old after a while, this was one of WiiWare's more robust and solid offerings. Jet Rocket was a unique WiiWare game solely because it felt like an actual game. In a sea of meerkat-leading simulators, Jet Rocket stood out as it was a 3D platformer. A pretty by-the-numbers 3D platformer, but hey, a quality 3D platformer nonetheless. It was developed by Shinen Multimedia too, and I have to say, these guys were the kings of WiiWare. They put out the most high-quality, bang-for-your-buck titles on the service, and not once did they ask me to enjoy my massage. Chick Chick Boom is an interesting case of Flash game gone WiiWare. Similar to Cave Story, you could play this for free on your computer, but a WiiWare version was offered, and this is a personal favorite for many. I mean, look at this, how can it not be? It's chick versus chick, and all you have to do is outdo the other by barfing some hearty power-ups to wipe them out. Again, you could have played this for free back then, but this is a game that works pretty well on the Wii.
You know, if you think about it, we don't have it that bad. Like, imagine if we were fish right now. Like, we have it good.
Rage of the Gladiators is like Punch-Out! It's not as good as Punch-Out, but it's like Punch-Out. That's not to say it isn't impressive for WiiWare. Animation and model quality is top-notch for the service, and being like Punch-Out isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just not as good. But this part was the loudest I've ever exclaimed, "Look at me go!" in my life. Racers Islands! The world is ending over this shit! Soccer Bashi! Oh man, I love soccer! I love Breakout!
They should just make death illegal.
Mix Superstar is one of the more special games on WiiWare, considering the fact it's not a game, it's a music creation tool where you can lay down tons of crazy music to make tons of big music. The full original version would allow you to export your song to the Mix Superstar website so you could save it forever, but now all this thing is good for is making a song that consists of nothing but come on y'alls. I feel like most people would immediately dismiss this application as there's not a lot of options and it's too limiting or whatever. Yeah, this is a music creation tool for WiiWare. Professionals obviously wouldn't use it even if it were incredibly robust. This was for the young Wii user who might have been interested in making their own music, and in that regard, Mix Superstar succeeded. Now, Cave Story was always one of the biggest stars of the WiiWare service. It was one of the first indie games to truly hit it big. It originally released as a free PC title and gained so much traction that Nicholas released an enhanced version on WiiWare. Now, does this excuse the fact that this was a $12 version of a free game? Well, that's debatable. It's not like the content offered doesn't hold $12 worth of value, plus the novelty of officially playing the game on a Nintendo console helped, but it did sting just a little bit knowing really anybody could play it for free. Which is why I never bought it for $12 on WiiWare, I bought it for $30 on Nintendo Switch.
Fucking end the channel already!
Fish 'Em All is an interesting WiiWare release because it just might be the one game I have absolutely the least to say about. What do you want me to say here? Moto Heroes is one of those physics-based 2D racing games. You know, kind of like Trials. This was made by the same developer. Well, Moto Heroes involves everything I love about budget downloadable games from this era. Just quick, bite-sized, addictive arcade fun. I miss this kind of stuff. Nowadays, digital-only titles kind of feel like they're either $20 and pretty high quality, or $2 and what's the point?
Well, we're 10 seconds away from the Wii Shop Channel ending. If there's anything I've learned over the past 312 days, Excitebike Rally was pretty good. The apocalypse immediately stopped after the shop channel closed down. I think everybody realized who the hell wanted to play Rabbids Lab again. But that doesn't make the channel's closure any less depressing.
The Wii Shop Channel was always this magical place to go when you had nothing else to play or just got a Wii Points card burning a hole in your pocket. It wasn't a perfect shopping experience. The purchases were tied to your console, and these seeing eye tests of screenshots didn't help things. But all negatives aside, this was how I could experience gaming history with the Virtual Console, how I could defy the odds of quality control and take a risk with a WiiWare game, or just piss around with a random free Wii channel. This wasn't just a storefront with the sole purpose of showing games that are available to buy. This was the Nintendo way to do a digital shop. It's hard to believe that it's gone. I use this service all the time, and it never once crossed my mind that it would be ending someday. It just goes to show how fragile digital content really is. Sure, a lot of the best WiiWare games are available elsewhere, sometimes in physical forms, but what about the ones that will never be released outside of WiiWare? As somebody who adores everything about video game preservation, it kinda hurts to know that there will never be an official way to play a lot of these games moving forward. I mean, thankfully all WiiWare games have been backed up online, but in terms of official releases, this was it. You can't play them anymore without Nintendo giving you the stink eye. But honestly, after playing nearly a third of the entire North American WiiWare library, most of these titles are better left as the games that time forgot. The fact that I can't officially play Sexy Poker anymore kind of adds to its legacy. It makes the game more interesting. But for the original WiiWare games that are legitimately good and deserve to be played for generations, the Wii Shop Channel's closure is truly unfortunate. WiiWare will always be remembered as a mixed bag. We got some great titles on the service, some I never even covered. Retro City Rampage, Lost Winds, the Strong Bad games by Telltale, the Art Style series. There was truly a metric ton on WiiWare. But considering the quality of most of the games on the service, and the fact that many of the best games are available elsewhere, have physical copies, or have been succeeded by new games that do fundamentally everything the WiiWare version did and then some, I have one final question. Was the Wii Shop Channel closing worth going through this whole apocalypse?
No.